Coming up on UTRGV-TV,
the new Volt carts made an appearance on the UTRGV campus earlier this month.
we tell you what students think about the new service.
Plus, you'll get to meet the officers that make up UTRGV PD's K-9 unit.
And a Mcallen family is recently named Disney and Points of Light Volunteer Family of the Year.
We have this and so much more.
UTRGV-TV starts now.
Hey there, welcome back to another edition of UTRGV TV. I'm Kim Mesa.
And I'm Elijah Noriega. At the top of this week's newscast, the new Volt carts made an appearance on the UTRGV campus earlier this month. I went out to get the details. Earlier this month, the Volt carts were introduced to both Edinburgh and Brownsville campus. 8 of them are in Brownsville and 15 in Edinburgh.
So the premise behind Volt is to target remote parking lots and try to incentivize students to actually use the remote parking lot, thereby alleviating congestion within the perimeter of the campus.
The Volt carts are purchased through the university's funds, and the staff and operations are funded through Valley Metro. Rick Anderson made the ultimate decision on purchasing 23 of the Volt carts, each of them at a price tag of $18,000 to a grand total of $414,000. That's almost the amount of Guy Bailey's salary. We went out to ask students on their opinions.
From where I stand right now, I mean, I've never even heard of it or seen them. I haven't seen anyone use them. So if it costs $414,000, I mean, that's not helping me. I don't know what students it's really helping out. The school is putting the money to good use, but I mean, obviously not all of it, so.
The carts include Wi-Fi, GPS, and 3 cameras that are recording for safety purposes. Zuniga states in the future they will have carts specifically for deviated routes.
We are thinking of a deviated type of route for both Edinburgh and Brownsville. We do have what we call a deviated service, and it's signified through call stops on our maps. So people can call in and say, hey, I need to go to this location, and then we'll deviate from the route to drop them off or pick them up. But eventually we want to move away from that and actually have a dedicated person in cars specifically for that. That way we don't have to deviate, and we can keep our frequencies in check.
For more information, you can visit Parking and Transportation Services page on UTRGV. In Edinburgh for UTRGV TV, I'm Elijah Noriega.
We all know that dogs are man's best friend, but they are also police officers' best co-workers. Yuliana Quiroz has a story on the very special canines in UTRGV's police department.
From across the seas. Odin came from Europe. We bought him through a vendor over there, and then he got shipped to the United States. 9-year-old Officer Odin was born to work for UTRGV, and his handler, Sergeant Molly Ralph, has always been by his side.
It's been challenging and fun. It's a lot like working with like a 3-year-old that never grows up. So constantly taking care of the dog, maintaining the dog, making sure that he's healthy and clean, maintaining his training, which is about 16 hours a month that he needs to do, basically practicing finding drugs.
Sergeant Molly Rolfe says that UTRGV is the only university in the UT system to have narcotics dogs on campus.
This Belgian Malinois has dedicated 8 years of his life detecting marijuana, cocaine, methamphetamine, and heroin.
How large is the substance?
Like this? Less than a gram, I would say.
But Odin isn't the only one in UTRGV PD's K-9 unit with a heck of a sniffer. Sergeant Ralph says there are now 3 K-9 officers, the newest addition being K-9 ICA.
So I'm a first-time K-9 handler. I've never been a K-9 handler before, so this is new to me, as well as K-9 ICA. So we're both trying to learn together. That way we we become a good team.
The German Shepherd is in the middle of training to be an explosives canine officer. After 8 weeks, Aika will be able to detect 26 types of explosive substances, just like Canine Officer Susie, who joined the unit in 2018. The canine unit has existed since 2011 under UTPA, and there's only been one other officer aside from the 3 who is now retired. Ralph would like to emphasize, even though these doggos seem tempting to pet, we should think twice before doing so.
Odie, Los.
In Edinburgh for UTRGV-TV, I'm Juliana Quiroz.
A Mcallen family recently named Disney and Points of Light Volunteer Family of the Year. Our reporter Rocio Villalobos sat down with them to learn about what they do to help the local homeless population.
It all started 4.5 years ago when 6-year-old Emily Aguirre saw a homeless man on the streets.
So I kept asking all these questions like, where does he sleep? Where does he eat? What does he do? Where's his mom? Where's his dad? Where's he go to the bathroom?
As a result, her family decided to do something, and that something was feeding 40 homeless people in Mcallen for 40 days during Lent. Now 11, Emily and her family have continued their efforts and have been able to expand their outreach, which is known today as Emily's Meals.
When we started this, we didn't even know it was going to be this big. The community that wants to help is so big now, and it feels really good to have started something.
And just this month, the Aguirre family was named Disney's first ever Points of Light Volunteer Family of the Year. Emily tells us her reaction when her family received the news.
My face just lit because I was so excited, and that was so exhilarating because all my classmates were there and my sister's volleyball friends were there, and it was so amazing.
Emily adds all this would not have been possible without the help of volunteers.
Over 1,000, really, since day one, over 1,000 people have helped us. So I want to say thank you to all those people who have helped.
When she grows up, Emily wants to become a doctor so she can continue to help people. She also plans to keep Emily's Mills going and to one day provide shelter.
I want to have a place, a plot of land where you can have several little homes, and so they can sleep in there.
With the $10,000 prize money the Aguirre family received from Disney, they are throwing a picnic where the homeless can receive medical care, clothes, and food. In Mcallen for UTRGV-TV, Rocio Villalobos.
If you'd like to help, the family has a volunteer page on Facebook. It's the handle you see on your screen.
The season of giving is just around the corner. Decorate a wreath and donate it to charity during the 7th annual Adopt a Wreath event.
Student Union Event Manager Mabel Cortina Matos gives us the details on the upcoming event.
We have events year-long where students get to create a craft and take it with them. This is the one time a year that we ask them to leave their craft behind. And so we ask students to come by and decorate a wreath, and then they leave it for us to donate to a hospice in either Edinburgh or Bronzeville. To be able to give back to the community and do good for something else feels so good, and we create that opportunity. We just bring those opportunities together.
The event will be held on both the Edinburgh and Brownsville campus on Thursday, November 21st at 11 a.m.
The RGV Gamma Sorority is hosting Paws Giving Food Drive.
Students, faculty, and staff can donate dry and canned food for dogs or cats, as well as treats, leashes, collars, and accessories until November 26th.
So I think the best part is just being able to give back to our community. This is currently our first year that we started doing it. One of our sisters brought it up, and we thought it was a really cool idea to get involved with.
The donation boxes are located at the Edinburgh campus, and all collected items will be donated to the Palm Valley Animal Center.
Close to 30 individuals marched across the Edinburgh campus last week to show support for DACA after the Supreme Court hearing. Arguments on the program were to take place that day.
Here's this week's UTRGV TV's Noticias en Español.
Estudiantes de UTRGV y otros que apoyaron tuvieron una marcha pacífica para los que dependen en el programa de DACA, que significa Acción Diferida para los Llegados en la Infancia. Araceli Gallegos, quien depende en el programa DACA, comenta que fue inspirada a organizar la marcha para ayudar a todos quienes están en la misma posición que ella.
Es un movimiento, es una razón por la que todos estamos unidos. No es algo que estamos luchando ahorita, es algo que hemos luchado por siempre. no empezó ayer y no va a terminar mañana, ojalá, pero no, vamos a seguir luchando y la Suprema Corte está en posición de decidir.
El 12 de noviembre del 2019 se empezó una audiencia en la Corte Suprema con respecto al programa DACA, que determinará el destino de 700,000 beneficiarios en la nación. El coordinador del Centro de Diversidad, Inclusión y Dream Resource Center habló el por qué está apoyando la marcha.
Estoy aquí para apoyar a los estudiantes que tienen DACA, a los estudiantes que no tienen papeles, que especialmente si piensan o si sienten que no están bienvenidos aquí, si piensan que están solos. Yo quiero estar aquí para apoyarlos.
La Corte Suprema tiene hasta junio del 2020 para hacer una decisión final. Reportando en Edinburgh para UTRGV-TV Noticias en Español, yo soy Kim Mesa.
And now let's send it off to Nathaniel Puente for this week's sports highlights.
The Nueces and Rio Grande River are longtime rivals. Both have served as Texas's border with Mexico, both have port cities, and both played an important role in the Mexican-American War. More importantly, both rivers host schools that are components of the South Texas Showdown, UTRGV and Texas A&M Corpus Christi. Well, our South Texas rival invited us to a little basketball tournament, so let's see what UTRGV did over the weekend. UTRGV opened the Islander Invitational against North Dakota State. An action-filled game ensued with the lead changing nearly a dozen times in the first half. Jordan Jackson contributed big to that with 15 points in the first half, which UTRGV led 32-31 going into halftime. The second half was another story though, as the Bison went on a tear, taking the lead early on and never relinquishing it. North Dakota State takes this one 76-70. The following game saw UTRGV take on Stony Brook. The Vaqueros fell behind early and found it tough to make a comeback. Early in the second half, the game was tight, but the Seawolves took control with not one, not two, but three consecutive three-pointers as they ran away with this one 69-58. So they missed their first two shots, but there's still one more chance at the line against rival Texas A&M Corpus Christi in the South Texas Showdown. The Islanders come into this one looking for their first win on the season. They opened the scoring with a nice three-pointer from Jashawn Talton. UTRGV would rebound with their own three-pointers to keep it tight. That one right there, courtesy of Connor Raines, but Corpus Christi would control the rest of the first half following a Miles Smith layup that followed 4 minutes of no scoring. The game was pretty much over from there as the Islanders never gave up the lead, winning this one 63-55. So a tough trio of losses there, but the men's team does have 4 consecutive home games coming up as they try to defend home court. Now, another team was already defending home court. UTRGV women's basketball was looking for their first win of the season. Could they get it against Texas Lutheran? The Bulldogs opened the scoring here with a three from Tara Molina, but that was their only highlight on the night as the Vaqueros went on a tear, doubling Texas Lutheran's point total by the end of the first period. UTRGV exploded with points the rest of the way, finishing this one 98-46. It's the 4th most points scored in program history. Technically, it's the most points ever scored by a UTRGV women's basketball team, which is good because records, they're meant to be broken. Here's something that sounds like a broken record. Volleyball has had a tough stretch this season, but they have one final game in the regular season against Chicago State, which if they win it, they'll be seeded 4th in the WAC tournament. UTRGV is playing Chicago State here. The Cougars only have one conference win all season, so consider this game as practice for the tournament. Unsurprisingly, UTRGV easily won the first set, then the second set, and the third set to pick up the 3-0 sweep. UTRGV's next challenge comes at the WAC tournament where they're seeded 4th and are taking on 5th seeded host Utah Valley. UTRGV cross country ran over to Fayetteville, Arkansas for the NCAA South Central Regional. Abraham Churcher's 6th place finish helped UTRGV finish 7th of the 22 schools. Meanwhile, women's cross country finished 4th of the 22 schools. Churcher's performance sends him to compete in the 10K run at the NCAA Championship later this week. Speaking of things moving fast, here's a quick shout out to my favorite sport, which wrapped up its season yesterday. The 2019 Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series wrapped up last night. Kyle Busch won the race and the championship, his second of his career. Whether you love him or hate him, he's one of the greatest of all time. And yes, NASCAR is a sport. So I guess that's going to wrap up our UTRGV sports highlights for this week. Back to our dynamic duo.
Thanks, Nate. Now here's this week's police reports released to us by UTRGV PD this past week.
On November 8th at 4:38 a.m., a female staff member reported that 2 students had intentionally forged a UTRGV parking permit found in parking lot B1. The fictitious parking permit was confiscated and submitted into evidence. The UTRGV students were advised that this incident would be referred to the students' rights and responsibilities for further review.
On November 11 at 7:50 p.m., an officer was dispatched to the Academic Performance Arts Center on the Edinburgh campus in reference to an intoxicated male student. Contact was made with the student who admitted having consumed alcoholic beverages to the officer. The officer observed the student displayed signs of intoxication and gave him the opportunity to contact an adult to take responsibility of him. The student was released without incident. No criminal charges were filed at the officer's discretion. The incident will be referred to student rights and responsibilities for further review.
On November 13th at 8 p.m., officers responded to Heritage Hall in reference to a physical fight between 2 male students who were roommates. An argument began over a conversation they were having which evolved to a physical altercation and one of the males assaulting the other. The male aggressor was arrested and charged with a Class C misdemeanor assault. He was jailed in the Edinburgh City Jail. This incident will be referred to student rights and responsibilities for further review.
That's all we have for you today, but remember, if you have a story you would like for us to know about or know someone who is making an impact on campus or in the community,
you can contact us through our social media or email us at tv@utrgv.edu.
We have community and UTRGV news for you every week. See you next time.